Say that you're given a vector as components, and you know what the coordinate system is. How do you go from those components to figuring out the direction of the vector? So let's say that we have a vector 3, -14. And we want to sketch this in a coordinate system oriented, the way that we're used to, let's say, to start. 14, not 4. Okay, let's do that. Okay, how do you go about this? Well, the key here is to remember that the components of a vector are equivalent to the coordinates of the head of the vector when the tail is at the origin. So first, start out by plotting this as if it's the coordinates of a point. So pause the video for a second and plot this point. Okay, so to plot the point 3, -14, we'd go in the positive x direction 3, and then in the negative y direction 14. And so this point is something like that. Now that you've plotted that point, the vector, it's a little crooked, has the tail at the origin and the head at that point. So that is the direction of the vector. And, then at this point you could draw that vector anywhere. All these components tell you is the direction and the magnitude of that vector. So that's the point 3 in the x direction, -14. You also, there's no reason that this has to be sketched in this coordinate system. So if you happen to know, so let's say instead that we want to sketch this in a coordinate system like this. Okay, how would you do that? Well, first you'd start out the same way, drawing the coordinate system. And then you would plot that point in this coordinate system. So pause the video for a second and plot the point 3, -14 in this coordinate system. Okay, so just like we did before, it's basically the same as the old one. You just have to turn your head a little, But we go out to an x value of +3, and then we go down to a y value of -14, and then we plot that point. And then the vector is the vector that goes from its tail at the origin to its head at this point.